And welcome back to the Daily Wrap, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, joined by Rick Unger, Heather Hansen, and Carl Higbee. Well, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, he's not here, but he's still in the news after saying that President Obama doesn't love America. He made those remarks at a private dinner for Scott Walker in New York City last week. Well, today, in an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Giuliani writes, and I quote, "Obviously, I cannot read President Obama's mind or heart, or to the extent that my words suggested otherwise. It was not my intention. When asked last week whether I thought the president was a patriot, I said I did and would repeat that. I bear him no ill will, and in fact think that his personal journey is inspiring and a testament to much of what makes this country great." Well, on PBS NewsHour last weekend, Mark Shields held nothing back when tearing into Mr. Giuliani.
If this is going to be an arms race about who hates Barack Obama and who can say he's less of a patriot, Rudy Giuliani had 6 draft exemptions and got a judge to write a request to have him reclassified 2A so he didn't have to serve in Vietnam. I mean, to him start grading patriotism is unacceptable, and it's going to take the Republican Party right down the road to defeat.
Well, clearly this is going to hurt Rudy Giuliani's chances in 2016 for the presidency. Wait, he's not running for president. Okay, Carl, let's start with you. With Rudy's op-ed, is that walking it back? Are you disappointed that he's basically saying, I really didn't mean it?
Grab your spine, man. I mean, he made this comment. It was a bold comment, sure, but I think he had some merit and it had some grounds. If you read Dreams of My Father, Barack Obama's first book, it clearly states that he thoroughly disagrees with the fundamental ideology of America and the free market system and the democracy we have. And it just seems that anytime somebody makes a groundbreaking comment that gets all this attention nationwide, they're like, oh, you know, I want to be more moderate.
Yeah, but I think it's a distraction. I think that people are over these personal attacks. I think that, you know, when you talk about what President Obama has said about, say, George W. Bush, when he said his ideas are unpatriotic, but it wasn't so personal. When you start getting personal right now with everything else we have going on in this world, I think no one cares, and they think that it is just going down to fighting about things that aren't important.
Well, first let me say, Carl, I read the same book and I didn't get that from that book even this much. So just to point that out. More to the point, the article that the mayor wrote this morning in the Wall Street Journal, aside from the fact that he couldn't bring himself to just flat out apologize, the argument he was making is that his problem with Barack Obama is that he won't recognize America's exceptionalism. I'll tell you what, when America begins to keep its promise to our veterans, when America begins to run a VA that doesn't allow veterans who went to war for our country to die on the streets, then we can get back to talking about American exceptionalism.
But Rick,
I'm glad you brought that up.
But let me just say, that is inappropriate, because despite the fact that we're not perfect, I agree with you, but we're not perfect, but we are still exceptional. No, but listen, I am tired of people saying that we're not exceptional. I'm tired of McCain saying he's ashamed of our country.
You have to be exceptional to call yourself exceptional.
It doesn't mean that you
Our
can't.
number one obligation is to honor that contract more than welfare, more than anything.
But on that, Rick, I want to say that you talk about being exceptional. If you want to be exceptional, you have to give people an avenue to be exceptional, and sometimes give them the kick in the butt. And that by increasing the food stamps in an unprecedented way, increasing the welfare state as we have, increasing the new health care thing, you are not giving people an encouragement to get off on their own and do it. So he is not encouraging. And I'm glad you brought up the VA thing. The VA issue is, I'm myself going through, I'm a disabled veteran, so I'm going through this, and it is atrocious. And
yes, it is.
I think, you know, I don't want to go Bush Obama here, but I think if Bush were in today, he would come down a lot harder than what.
Well, we'll never know, and I hope so.
Yeah.
But we'll never know that.
I think
but you're not an exceptional country if you violate your number one obligation.
You can
and
still
that
be
is our
exceptional
number one
and
obligation.
aspire to more.
Exceptionally what? I mean, that's a basic. You made a promise to people. You made a promise that if they went off to war for us, that you would provide them with certain services. We breached that promise. How can that be exceptional? I just don't get that.
I don't disagree that we have a lot left to aspire to, but that does not mean that we are not still above and beyond the majority of the rest of the world.
Well, that's not exceptional.
It is.
No, it's not. You just said, I'm just even saying the majority.
The rest of the world.
Let's hear what an actual presidential candidate, or at least a potential one, unlike Rudy Giuliani, who I'm pretty sure isn't running in 2016, Senator Marco Rubio told a Florida radio station. We have more quotes. I don't feel like I'm in a position to have an answer for every person in my party that makes a claim. Democrats aren't asked to answer every time Joe Biden says something embarrassing, Butt Buddy. So I don't know why I should answer every time a Republican does. I'll suffice it to say that I believe the president loves America. I think his ideas are bad. Congressman Keith Ellison was asked on ABC's This Week if there was any truth to Rubio's comments.
The point that Marco Rubio was making there, and I guess the point that Scott Walker was trying to make, is that there does seem to be a little bit of a double standard here. The Republicans tend to get asked these questions about their outliers more than Democrats are.
Oh, I don't agree with that. You know, people are always being asked about what somebody else said, but I can tell you this, the president definitely is a great lover of America. I mean, so much so that 11 million Americans got health care who've never had it before. That's pragmatic love of country when you do things for your countrymen and women. So I don't know. I think that the president's an amazing patriot and one of the best presidents I think our country will ever have seen.
Here's where I take issue with both sides on this. He says, well, the president must love the country because he gave them health care. Or Carl will say more people are on food stamps than ever before. Right. So could it just be ineptitude or political policy instead of love and hate? That's
just it. That's exactly right what you just said. Don't say he doesn't love his country because you disagree with his policy. Senator Rubio, I thought, gave a fantastic answer. I really do. He disagrees with the president. He's certainly entitled, but he didn't question his heart and soul and how he feels about the nation he runs.
It's taking away the personal. The personal. He says, I don't think he doesn't love his country. I don't love his ideas. And that's what this debate should be about. It shouldn't be about what's in someone's heart, because what's your definition of love? Is it paternal? Is it going off and giving somebody a kick in the butt? Everybody's got a different definition. I think that this argument is taking us far away from where we should be focused.
Carl, last word?
I generally think that Giuliani should have stood by his comments. I mean, that's obviously what he believed. He said it from the hip, so stick with it. And that's the problem with politicians. I think, and what he said at the end of that interview is that he'll be revered as one of our greatest presidents of all time. I think the exact opposite of that. Reagan wasn't appreciated to the extent he is today until today. So I think after his presidency and 4, 8, 12 years down the line, he's going to be really looked at as a bad avenue for America.
We'll see.
We'll see. Indeed.
I have no opinion because you're right. It takes that long.
Yeah.
Time will tell. So coming up next on The Wrap, is the White House really getting ready to ease up on nuclear and economic sanctions with Iran? I'm sure Carl has a couple of choice words on that one. You'll find out about that next. This is the Daily Wrap from New York City, where with the wind chill, it is now 2 degrees. For those of you watching in Miami, I hope you're enjoying yourselves. This is only on Newsmax TV.